So this is day 19 and I am Alok Srivastava. So the objectives of the day are firewall. Very simple, a single objective. We will be learning what firewall is, what is the daemon or the service to control the firewall rules in your RHEL 7. So before and then how to configure your firewall, what are zones, how to move uh, one interface from one zone to another zone, how to add the services in the firewall, how to add the ports, how to add rich rules. Finally, these are all the objectives of the day. So let's first understand what exactly is a firewall. So firewall, consider it like simply put, it's a packet filtering. It allows certain packet which you want from authorized sources or to genuine applications, and it block the packets or the communication from the hostile applications or unknown sources. So in that manner it tries to protect your server from unauthorized access of services and your resources. It's a simple packet filtering. So in RHEL 7, the service which controls your firewall is known as the firewall D. Earlier in RHEL 6, it was IPTables, but now it is firewall D. So firewall D is a set of scripts and a daemon that manages your net filter on your RHEL 7. We sometimes also call it firewall management as a service. So the aim of the firewall D is creating a simple command line interface to manage firewall on your system, and by default you need not to install any package. The firewall D is included in the core RPM group. So if I simply give this command here, RPM query firewall D, it is included. So in case it is not, though the chances are very rare that it's not installed by default, as it is available in the core package RPM group. So you can simply give yum install firewall D. Yeah, make sure that your yum is properly working. So in my case, as it is already installed, I need not to bother about it or worry about it. That's great. So before I jump onto the writing the rules, firewall rules, allowing certain ports, blocking certain ports, we need to understand some basic concepts. The most important concept in RHEL 7 firewall D is zones. What is a zone? So zone is nothing. Zone is very simply put. I'll give you a very simple example, like we have created connections while configuring the IP addressing. So connection is what? Connection has got his own settings of IP, gateway, DNS, and I just need to connect a NIC, a physical NIC into that connection, and the NIC will automatically get everything which is configured on the connection. Same is the zone. The firewall daemon manages a group of rules using the zone. So zones are based on level of trust, how much you trust a particular region or a particular interface, how much you trust based on the level of trust a user has, like you being an admin has, on an interface and a traffic within that network. As you can see it on like on the screen, I have a server which has got two interfaces. One interface is in a different zone, another interface is in a different zone. So in one zone you might have different rules allowing, say, SSH, blocking FTP or HTTP. In other zone you might have altogether a different rule. You might want to block SSH and allow your HTTP. So there are predefined zones, and I'm going to write you these zones in the order from least trusted to the most trusted. So zones, as I have told you, these are predefined rules. There are predefined rule in the zones, and I'm going to list you the predefined zones in the order from least trusted to the most trusted. So I'll just recollect myself again. See the picture. Zone is nothing but a set of predefined rules. Now you need to find out which interface you want to put in a zone. Whatever interface of your server is in that zone, those rules will be applied onto that packets or the request coming in. Number one, the least trusted zone is the drop zone. It has got the lowest level of trust and all incoming connections are dropped without any message. Second is block zone. It's same like the drop, but it's slightly more courteous zone, as it send a ICMP request to the client that you are not allowed. Third zone is the public zone. It is the untrusted network. That means you don't trust other computers, but you may allow selected connection on use case basis. Fourth zone is the external zone. So this zone you're going to use only when you use your firewall as the gateway. So it is generally configured for the NAT and the masquerading. Fifth zone is the internal zone. Internal means the other side of the external, your side. So computers are trusted as it is internal, that is your LAN segment, and you might have some extra services available. I'm going to show you the rules which are preset in these zones, but let's first understand the zones. Then we have got a zone DMZ, demilitarized zone. So that means only certain incoming connections are allowed, a very secure zone. Work, seventh zone, work. Work means your office. So here you trust majority of the computers in the network and a few extra services might be allowed. And then I've got home. Home means my home. So I trust all the computers generally. Additional services might be allowed in this zone. And the last one, ninth one, is the trusted. Trust everyone. So this should be used very carefully and very rarely, as you trust everyone in the network. So once we have understood the zones idea, and by the picture of this zone, I hope the idea is very clear that zone has got preset rules. Any interface which comes into that zone will have all those rules applied. So let's start the things. Let's start. Number one thing, we need to find out whether the firewall is started or not, whether it's running or not. So I've got a very simple, I can use my systemctl command, systemctl status firewall D. It's running, that's great. Make sure you should enable it also, so that it should be available across the reboots. There are a set of commands which is exclusively used to manage your firewall. So these are firewall cmd commands. It's a command line tool. So if I give a -n state, it will show me that whether the firewall is running or not. Fair enough. So now, as I have talked about the zone, so I want to see in which zone currently my LAN interface is, and just if I give ifconfig, so I've got a single interface. So that means my interface will be a part of only one zone, because I've got one interface only. One interface can be a part of one zone. One interface cannot be a part of multiple zones. Let me check it. If I give the command firewall cmd -get default zone, you'll see the default zone is public. So that means my interface is in the public zone. Okay, in case I have got multiple interfaces and I want to know which are the active zones, means the zones which has got some interface in it. So if I give active zones, you see here I've got only one public and this interface. This is the same Eno167. My LAN card is in the public interface, in the zone, sorry. I can, okay, that's fine that my LAN card is in the public zone. Now you might be interested in seeing that what are the rules in this zone. So I can simply give the command firewall cmd hyphen list hyphen all. So it's a public zone. Default is the public. It is active as the interface is there. And these services are by default allowed and these ports are allowed. There are no rich rules. We'll be talking about what rich rules are, but not right now. Okay, that's great. But what are the other zones? I want to get information about other zones. So I can simply give firewall hyphen cmd hyphen get zones. So see here, these are the zones that I have explained you. Block, DMZ, drop, external, home, public, trusted work. Okay. Suppose I am in the public zone. So if I give the command this list all, it shows me the services or the ports which are allowed in this zone if one interface is a part of it. Suppose I intend to know about, say, home zone. What are the rules in the home zone? So if I give the list all, by default it will show me the rules for the default. So you need to specify here hyphen zone home. So these services are allowed. See, more services, isn't it? I have told you certain extra services will be allowed. So some more services are allowed in the home. If I show you the trusted one, then so you will be able to find out which services are allowed. No services are allowed here. You can get a list of what kind of services are allowed by default in which zone. There is a very simple command of list all zones which you can give to list the rules for all the zones. Very interesting. So here it is. Work has got this, trusted has got no services, public has got these services, internal has got more services, home will have more or less same services, external, DMZ, they're all nothing is explicitly allowed. You can get a list of all the rules in all the zones. Okay, now currently if I had shown you that my interface is in the public zone, so I can give this command. If I give this command, my interface is in the public zone, and if I give this home, so I don't have any interface here. So the next very interesting thing I'm going to show you is that how can I move my interface, this interface, my LAN card, from public zone to the home zone. So that means as soon as I move into the home zone, these rules or services are allowed. So I can change it. So if I give the command, it's a very interesting command here, firewall cmd zone home change interface and my interface name. So this is my interface name. So I copy this, I paste it, done, success. So that means if I give the same command list all here, or if I give the zone command once again, you will see my interface is in the home zone, and if I change it to public, I don't have any interface here. So my interface has swapped from public to home. That's great. So if I give this command, see now, firewall cmd get active zones. So I am in home zone. It's not coming as public. Okay. So if I restart the service, see here, now it's a very strange behavior here. If I restart the service, my interface is in the home zone. Remember this, systemctl restart firewall deal. Sorry, I restarted the service, and if I give the get active zone, I'm in public. it has again moved back automatically to the default or the public zone. It will revert itself. I didn't wanted that, isn't it? When you have changed the interface, you wanted the interface to stay in that zone. So to make it permanent in the home zone, so what you need to do, you need to open the interface like config file, ifcfg, the same file, and at the bottom you need to type here, append a line here, zone home. This is you need to do. So if I give the command get active zone, I am still in the public, but if I restart the network service, see here, if I restart the network service and then I restart the firewall D, and now if I show you get active zone, it's still showing me in the public. And I need to set it to the default. So I can make my home as the default also. I can give a reload here. Firewall D cmd --- reload. If I give the command once again, it's public, and I can move or change because I had changed the interface in the home. So I wanted the home should be the default one. Let's do that part also, which is left here. So you can change the default zone by this command, home. That's it. So if I give a get active zone, it is home and my interface is there. So in this manner you can change your interface to a particular zone. So if I again wants to move it back, I can just remove it and just comment this line out, zone home, and restart all the things which we had done it earlier. And change to public. Right? So we can do it. So now we have learned how to move one interface from one zone to another zone, how to make it a default one. Let's understand about the services. How many services are supported? So if I give the command firewall cmd -list -all, it shows me some of the services which are in the default public zone. But what are the other services? I want to get a list of all the services available. So there is a very simple command here, firewall cmd -get services. See now. So these are the services which are allowed by default, added or available in your RHEL 7. And in case you want to get more information about these services, feel free to move into usr lib firewall services folder. You will find one file for every service, and then like say ssh. So you want to see if I add ssh service, which port is allowed or which port it is configured to run. Just do it. It will show you will be running on TCP port number 22, and this is the name which is being shown in the list, SSH. See, SSH. This is the name. So these are the predefined services. These are the predefined services. So how can I add a service? So if I give firewall -cmd -list all. So suppose I want to add HTTP here. Might be I have got a web server running. So I can simply give the command firewall cmd hyphen hyphen add hyphen service is equal to http. Success. If I give a list all, http is coming up here. So that means I trust http also. So my interface will allow the http traffic, port number 80. I can have https also. So if I give list services, which I had already done, list services in a zone, I can specify a zone also. Say hyphen hyphen zone is equal to public hyphen hyphen list hyphen services. So these are the services allowed, which is available via this command also. But the problem is that the service that I had just added using this command will not be available after the reboot. So what you need to do, if you want a service to be permanently available, please write permanent here. This is mandatory. So, and whenever you do some changes, don't forget to do a reload. So now this service is permanently available. So make sure you write hyphen hyphen permanent. In the exam also you will be asked to add certain services, and that should be available across the reboots. Okay, what if I'm trying to add certain service and that service is not available in this list? If I give this command, certain services, say I'm looking for a particular service, but I cannot see the service. Fair enough, I can use the port. I can add the port also. In case a service is not available, say you have your own custom application XYZ, obviously the XYZ will not be coming up here. So how can I allow it in the firewall? You can add a port, simply put like this, firewall cmd hyphen hyphen add hyphen port, and then specify the port, anything, say 8000 TCP, using the TCP. So if I give a list all, you will find a 8000 TCP coming up here. That's great. And please make sure, again I'm repeating, do not forget to write permanent. Now it is available after the reboot or the reload. Reboot specifically. You can also give a range. Say I'll give the same example here. In case you have a range to it, say 8000 to say 8888 of TCP or UDP. And if you want to change the zone, please feel free to use the zone, right? Like this. So now if I give a list all, I've got a range available here. Mine is public. I'd made them permanent. So by default it is public, so need not to specify it. But what in case a service is not available? I can define a service also, because look here, I have added one port 8000. That is good. I remember that certain application XYZ runs on port 8000 and I have added it. So it is easy to open a port for a service which is not defined. Fair enough. But it is very difficult to remember which application uses which port. So in case you don't want a service now, let's suppose I don't want to use the application XYZ. Now I need to remember that which port it was using, 8000 or 4001, 4011, I don't remember. So I can define a service also. That is really very interesting. I can define a service. That means I can create my own service. How? I have just told you that the services are here. So what I do, I copy any sample, say SSH, into my HC firewalld services folder with any name, say alok.xml, anything. Now I move into here, services alok.xml. and based on your application, change the short name Alok, anything, our custom application, write any description, not necessary, not that it's, but if you are doing it in a production, that I will recommend that the description should be meaningful, like this. That's great. And then allow any port, say 2222. I'm just giving a random port, that's all, of TCP. You can add more ports also, like this. Suppose it runs on 2 ports, might be, let's presume as it's a fictitious or a fake service. So I'm just trying to show you the different options available. So you can write a UDP also, port, say 2222 or 3333, anything. The syntax is already available here, need not to worry about it. Then if I save and come out and I reload the firewall service, firewall cmd hyphen reload, I've done it. Now if I give the command get services, you'll find Alok here. So you have just added a service. Now feel free to use it as you want. So in this manner you can add a service also, which is very good for in case you have got a lot of custom applications. So you can use it to add a service so that you don't need to remember a particular ports or all those ports. Now how I can also add a particular IP also, that this particular IP is allowed. So say I'll give one simple example here. Sorry, I'll give a very simple example here. If I give a firewall cmd list all sources, see here, suppose I trust a machine that every traffic from a particular machine should be allowed, right? So I can give a rule something like this, firewall cmd permanent. Obviously you need to give it, don't forget this. Zone, need not to like specify if you are changing in the default one. Just write add source is equal to any IP address, say 192.168.0.222. So, and yes, mask, obviously success. If I give a list all, I need to, my zone is zone public, and I do a reload, firewall cmd, make sure you do a reload here. So once you do a reload, so that particular IP address is actually allowed. So you can add a source, that means the IP. You can add a service with the add service. See here, the source is, that means you trust this machine fully. So if I give a get active zone, obviously as I have a one interface, I won't be getting multiple. My public, and this source is, you can see the IP address is coming up, list all. That's great. So you can allow certain service, you can allow certain IPs also. Then there is something known as rich rules. Rich rules are, if you have worked on RHEL 6 and you are familiar with the IPTables, then you will find rich rules very easy to understand. So rich rules actually gives you, the administrator, a power to express the custom rules. Like suppose I just want to allow HTTP from a particular IP, not from all the IPs, because when I add the service, if I give this command list all. That means DNS or say HTTP is allowed from everywhere. Fine, and all other traffic is allowed, every traffic is allowed from this host, but rest of the host all are allowed to access HTTP. Let's suppose you want to block or allow it only for a specific IP address instead of all. So these kinds of customization you can do it using the rich rules. So it is like very much similar with the IPTables. So if I give there is a very interesting help available there. See here, they got examples also. So when you are appearing for the exam, you should be knowing from where to get the help. See that all the examples are coming up, rule, family, everything. So here IPv4 source address, this IP range is allowed to access the TFTP. Like this, you've got a lot of examples coming up here. So just remember this: man 5 Firewalld rich language. So in case because you might have multiple rules in a zone, which obviously will be, so the ordering of the rules is very important, that what particular order, how the rules are being processed. So number one, the basic ordering of rules inside the zone is same for all the zone. It doesn't matter in which zone you are. Number one, any port forwarding or masquerading rules will be scanned, then any logging rules set for that zone, then any allow rules set for the zone, and then any deny rule for the zone. And remember, in all the cases, the first match will. The first match and the action will be taken from there. It won't process the rest of the zone. That you need to remember. So if I want to allow, say I want to block a particular IP address, how can I do it from the rich rules? So I can simply either just go here, copy the things, you can use it. See, the example is coming up here. Just change the protocol service, that's all. I can copy it and use it. Otherwise I'll give you a very simple example here. Firewall CMD, say I want to allow a traffic from a particular IP address, or say block a particular IP address. So let's do it. --permanent -zone is equal to public -add -rich -rules equal to, do a quote here, single quote, and if you remember the man pages, I had shown it to you. You can copy and paste everything from there. I'll do it. Wait, what I do, I give this command once again and I copy it. I'll show you how you can do it in the exam. Need not to remember all those things. Copy anything, say from here I copy it, this rule family TFTP, sorry, I copy this. That's great. Now I write the same rich rule, firewall CMD -permanent. This is the same stuff. Specify the zone, in which zone you intend to add it, -add. It's better to use a backslash so that it will be easy for you to remember and check for the syntax errors. Make a single quote, write, paste it and change it. That's all. Close the quote here and change it now. What I do here, the source IP, any specific IP, say I give 1313, that's all, 192.168. so this IP, I want to block this IP. So source address is this IP, not for a specific service, for any service. The action is reject. That's it. Isn't it easy, guys? That's it. You just need to use. Then do a firewall cmd hyphen reload. So if I give the list command once again, you'll find rich rules, this IP is blocked. Another is, say, I can add that HTTP should be allowed or blocked from a particular IP address. So I'll do it again. I'll use the same stuff again. Now what I do, I write the rule again. Firewall cmd hyphen permanent hyphen zone is equal to public hyphen add hyphen rich. I'll use a backcode. I found it much more easier for you to see it. Paste it here, put a quote, say I want FTP to be allowed to a particular address, say 12.12, anything. I'm just using some service name is FTP. Log, if you want to have a log having certain like prefix. So if I give 2 per minute, that means what? Limit value means what? That means it will allow 2 new connections per minute in the default zone, and accept. That's all. And do a reload and check it, list all in this manner. So you need not to remember like all this syntax, just need to remember how to take help. That's it. Man 5 firewall d dot rich language, and you will get the examples. So in this manner you can have your rich rules configured. So you will be asked to configure a rich rule for a particular IP and a service in the exam. So it's an exam objective. So now, up till now, you have learned about the zones. You have learned about how to add a service, add a IP, a complete IP, trust a complete IP, different types of zones available, how to add ports if the service is not specified. Even if we have learned how to move the interface from one zone to another, we have learned how to add a service, and then we have learned how to add the rich rules. So all you need to do is that you just need to keep on changing this. It's simple stuff. You just need to keep on changing the source and the services. That's all. Rest everything will remain same, and need not to remember this. You can get it from the help. So please don't try to cram all these things. Try to be smart. You will get everything from the help. Just in the exam you will be asked to change certain IPs, certain services. Might not required to have a log prefix and all those things and limit value, but yes, if you don't need it, remove it, and accept and reject is as per your choice or as per the demand. So you should be able to write your rich rules also. And the next topic here is we can have masquerading rules also available. Port forwarding, that is the next thing we are going to learn. What is the port forwarding and how can I have masquerading or the port forwarding configured, and what is NAT? That is the next thing. So let's take a break of 1 minute. You can go and have a cup of tea or coffee or a glass of water, whatever, and then we'll start with a NAT, masquerading and port forwarding. So once we have taken the break, and so it's the time to understand the last topic of the day, that is NAT and port forwarding. So what is NAT? We had already talked about the NAT in our IP addressing when we had discussed the benefits of IPv6. So NATing means that I'm hiding my private IPs, and if any request is going on onto the network, the external side, it will be shown the public IP, that is the NAT. So before we jump onto the NAT and the port forwarding, let's do some very basic stuff that might be very useful for you. Some of the interesting commands is like you can find out the version of the firewall which you are running, and in case you want to find, it's not the NAT, I'm just trying to give you some more things which you might not find in the official courseware. Suppose you want to find out that which zone a particular interface is in. So I can find out my interface by the nmcli-d command, sorry, nmcli-d or ifconfig. So this is the interface. So suppose I want to know that in which zone it is, so I can use firewall cmd for this. Firewall cmd --get zone of interface, plain English, paste it. It will tell you that this particular interface is in the zone public. That makes my life easier, right? And you can also find out that how many interfaces are in a particular zone. So I can give zone equal to public, and then you can simply give list interfaces. So it will show you how many interfaces are there in a particular zone. So that makes your life much more easier rather than going through each and every interface and finding it. And then there is one very interesting command to know how many services will be available after the reboot, which services you have done the permanent. So you can give this command --get service, just add permanent here. So these services are there which will be available across the reboots. And in case of a zombie attack, you want to shut down all the communication, there is a very beautiful or a like kind of a command there, panic on. So don't just remember, if you give this command panic on, all the communication from the remote machines will be shut off, everything. So in case you are doing it on the remote machine, your connection will be dropped. So please don't do it on the remote machines. So if I do panic on, that means nothing, no communication will be like allowed. So it's kind of a, you are protecting yourself against the zombie attack, and when the zombies are gone, you can give a panic off. So in which current mode you are, you can write here panic query, sorry, query panic. It will show you that right now you are not in panic mode. So just I'll just repeat myself again, don't execute this command on remote servers where you have connected using SSH or any other means. So let's understand what the masquerading is. So as I have already told you that masquerading means hiding your private IPs to be coming or available over the public network. So first thing first, I need to see whether the masquerading is on or not. So I just give firewall cmd -f query masquerade. It will show you by default it's not on. So I can allow it, I can check it out or make it available that the masquerading should be on. So by default it is off. So I can also query for a particular zone or disable it for a particular zone. In case for a particular zone you don't want to have the masquerading on, so just give -zone equal to internal whatever or external, and then give here -remove masquerade. So for this particular zone the masquerading will be off. So this is how you can check it, but then let's see how to enable it. So how to enable it? by default it's off. So I can query it for my particular zone also. Zone is public. Sorry. So I will just write here add masquerade. This command will make it yes. The masquerading is available now. So remove, we had already done how to remove a masquerade. Now let's understand how can I configure the port forwarding. Port forwarding means when the packet is coming onto a particular port, but it will be redirected to a different port. So add masquerade is what we had already done. So masquerading should be added before you proceed further. So that you need to make sure. Okay. You can also configure your firewall D to masquerade everything from a specific IP address or a source. If you don't want to have from the complete zone, you can give this -- permanent. Obviously, you need to use the rich rules. Say zone public. Then you can give --add -rich -rule equal to same stuff. You can copy it from the help I had shown to you. Rule family equal to IPv4. Then you can give source address and any IP address that you want. Say 192.168.0. Say 1, anything. /24 masquerade. So if I give a firewall cmd -reload and will list all, if I show you to check that whether it is available or not, the things that I have done, I can check it for this particular zone or whatever I had done. So I give a -list -all. Sorry. So masquerade for public, and you will see there rule family masquerade, and this is the public one. So then how can I forward a particular port? Let's suppose I want that any communication which is coming on SSH, which is port number 22, should be redirected to some other port, say 2468 or any other port. So I can use the firewall cmd again. Firewall cmd -permanent -zone equal to public. Then you can add the rules -add -forward -port is equal to 22, and the protocol proto is TCP : see here, add forward port is equal to 22 : protocol is equal to TCP, and I say two port is equal to any other port, say 2468 anything. Done. So if I give a firewall cmd -reload and then I do a list all, see here forward port, as the address is not specified, so it is for the local. If I try to do SSH -p 2468 localhost, or I can check, I have to check whether SSH is allowed here. So if I get it on 22, it is actually going on 2468, whatever, any communication which is there. So I'll just do exit from here. So this command will show me yes, it is being forwarded. I can forward it to the same port on a different IP address also. Suppose I want to forward port number 80. So say it's a proxy. So it's not an actual web server, it's a proxy server. So I want any communication which is coming on port number 80 should be redirected to on the same port to a different IP address. Even that can be done. So I can give firewall cmd hyphen hyphen permanent. So you'll be asked to do a local port forwarding in the exam. Remember this. You'll be asked to do a local port forwarding in the exam. Something like what I've done here. Local port forwarding. This will be asked in the exam. So you have to take care of this. So I do a permanent hyphen hyphen zone is equal to public. Then I will specify my rules hyphen hyphen add hyphen forward hyphen port is equal to 22 to proto, and the protocol proto is equal to TCP, and I say to address and some different address, say 192.168.0.200. That's it. That means any communication, I should have given it 80 actually, not this. So any communication which is going on port number 22 should be redirected to, or 80 in my case actually, should be redirected to this port, this IP address. Sorry, firewall again. Don't forget to do a reload. And if I do a list all, see here. So this will be given the priority. If I try to give SSH root at the rate localhost, or the particular IP address, it should be going there. You can one of the more like complicated example can be to redirect the service to a different IP to a different port. Say I want whatever communication is hitting to me on port number 80 should be redirected to a different IP address on port number 443. So I can do this also, firewall cmd hyphen hyphen permanent. It's simple stuff, just you need to remember the sequence, what exactly you are going to do. Zone is equal to public, logic should be clear. So hyphen hyphen add hyphen forward hyphen port is equal to port is equal to 80, proto is equal to TCP, to proto, sorry, to port, oh sorry, my spelling is wrong. This is protocol is equal to TCP, to port is equal to say 443, and colon to address is equal to some different address 192.168.0.3211. That's it. And I give a firewall cmd hyphen hyphen reload, and if I give a firewall cmd hyphen hyphen list hyphen all, you will see this 80 will be redirected to this particular IP address. And there is one more way of checking it, though reload and list all will do the things. If I repeat the same command and instead of add port, add forward port, replace it to query forward port, check it whether this is working or not. Yes, if this is query forward port with the same rules is giving yes, that means yes, the rules are implemented and are working. So this is a very important topic, and configuring a local port forwarding will be a part of the exam, so take care of that. Rest of the things you can use it in your production environment and as per your use case basis. That's all for the day. I know it was a long day, but very interesting and very important. So I'll see you in the next class. Bye bye, take care.